AI is like teenage sex. Everybody thinks everybody else is doing it, so everybody says that we are doing it. And every company was like that in that time. There's like 4 or 5 years ago, that every company. But the point I'm trying to make is, don't let society impose expectations. You decide. You try to understand what you want. Where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, what have you? And then try to understand, to get there, what is it that I need to do? If all of my cousins are getting married at 28, do I need to do that? Am I doing it because all of them are doing it? If you look at the individual level suffering, it mostly happens in the 5 different main areas of life, 5 different buckets. One is personal, professional, financial, which is very huge in this day and age, familial/cultural, and then expectations of society. The 5th one is Namaskar. Welcome to the 3rd episode of Why There Is So Much Suffering in the World. In the first episode, we discussed the dualistic nature of the universe, the dualistic nature of our life, our existence, why certain things happen the way they happen, and the law of nature. This is how the nature is. We also discussed about difference between you suffering versus you being in the suffering moments. We discussed about the dark room, the bright room, and we also discussed the rationale behind the way the universe is. That's a foundational video. I will highly recommend you to go and watch that video. In the second part, we discussed the contextual suffering, the suffering that happens because of mostly outside your influence area. For example, the socioeconomic problems that happen. For example, the political issues. For example, the natural calamities. We went through each of these different contexts and tried to understand why suffering happens in all these contexts. The 6-year-old baby who dies in a natural calamity, what possibly could be the reason behind it? Highly recommend you to watch episode 1, episode 2 before starting here. In this episode today, we'll cover the individual level suffering. So if you look at the individual level suffering, it mostly happens in the 5 different main areas of life, 5 different buckets. One is personal, professional, financial, which is very huge in this day and age, familial/cultural, and then expectations of society. The 5th one is expectation of society. Let's tackle the 4th one first, because I think it is the foundation that defines who you are. You're born into a certain family and born into a certain culture and born into a certain country. See, the familial/cultural suffering that happens is it because you are at conflict at certain things. Let me give you an example of my life. When I was growing up, this is in the 90s in India, when I was growing up, there was a very huge focus from my parents, uncles, my older cousins, and I could say it seemed like the entire city, entire town is talking about the same thing. You focus on English, you focus on maths, and you focus on science. These 3 things. If you're focusing on these 3 things as a student, as a growing up, that's all you need to do. There's no other element to it. Why? Because if you take a step back, and why? Why everyone is just telling me to focus on this? How about sports? I really like sports growing up. Why can't I go and play entire day and do something? Or nothing of that sort. Only 3 things. And then you see, this still happens. A lot of folks who are coming from developing countries, their parents telling you, hey, only focus, you can only become an engineer, lawyer, or a doctor. These are 3 options that are given. And if you take a step back and understand why, because when the countries were getting developed, or they were going through that phase, these 3 or 4 or 5 different professions gave you the respectable living in the society. So the entire generations and generation focused on these things. The outcome of that is that particular country, or that region for that matter, did really well in those few areas of life. For example, you see the biggest number of doctors, engineers, lawyers, scientists are from India. But growing up, this made sense. Now, many of my cousins are still doing it. They're telling their kids to focus on these 3-4 subjects. But time has changed. I'm just giving you one example, and this could be applicable to a number of different things. For example, certain I have some of my friends, they have children, grown-up children, growing up children, and so you cannot date. Dating is not allowed in our culture. And these are very sensitive topics. So what you do is, you have a conversation. Have a conversation with your parents, your family. Hey, look, the difference that you have is because the perception of the world that you have is probably little old. It has changed a lot now. The world where I want to live, and then I will be living 50 years, 20 years in the life, will be a very different world than you are living in. Most of these conflicts can be resolved by having a proper conversation. Open-minded conversation. Look, I'm a chat. Don't want to become a doctor. I don't want to go in this line of business. I don't want to do this education. Why? Because this is what I want to do. There can be a number of reasons around this, right? One could be that world is more diversifying, so it makes sense to do a number of things because these things did not exist when they were there. Have these conversations, and I hope this helps from the familial and cultural aspects of life. Dating wasn't a thing when I was growing up. Your father will run after you, slipper in his hand, like, what are you talking about? You seeing girls? But now things are changed. So if I implement same kind of a behavior on my children, that won't be good. It's important both. It's important for parents also, grandparents, parents also, that time has changed. It's important for us also to look at the entire situation from their lens too. The conflict is only happening because the perception of the culture, the perception of the world is little different. All you have to do is see if that can meet. And the best way to do that is have an open conversation. I hope this helped the familial and the cultural conflicts that happen. Let's go to the societal one then, and we can cover the financial, personal and professional ones. In societal conversations, again, I'll give you this example because it is a very common example. When you're growing up, in those days, it was your aunts again, they're telling you, parents, grandparents, and the people you don't even know, your neighbors and perhaps neighbors, they're telling you what you should do. Oh, you are 18 years old, you should do this degree. Oh, you are this, now you should get married. Okay, if you got married, find a girl, find a boy. Or if you're married now, hang on, you have to have a kid. Or if you have a kid, the kid has to behave a certain way. So all these things are nobody has asked for it, but the society is imposing these information, these expectations on you. If you let society pose expectations on you, then they will. Now, the only difference is, instead of these people who were kind of doing this in person to you, social media does it to you. Or if you don't take 2 vacations a year, if you don't go to Bahamas and don't go to Portugal, then something is missing. If you're 21 years old and don't go to Miami for the spring break, something is missing. Don't let society put these expectations on you. The moment you open the Instagram, I understand it is difficult. The moment you open the Instagram or Twitter or any of the social media feed, you'll see that people are doing a number of these things, and then you want to do this because they are doing it. I remember when I was in artificial intelligence AI department in my previous company, we often joked about AI. There was a time that AI was in a huge hype, and I remember reading this quote, and I'm saying this because it's a very relevant quote, that AI is like teenage sex. Everybody thinks everybody else is doing it, so everybody says that we are doing it. And every company was like that in that time. There's like 4 or 5 years ago, that every company thinks the other company has AI in their algorithm, the machine learning in their algorithm. So we should also say. Thousands and thousands of startups came up with .ai. Every company had AI element to it. Did they use machine learning or not? That's a different question. But the point I'm trying to make is, don't let society impose expectations. You decide. You try to understand what you want. Where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, what have you? And then try to understand, to get there, what is it that I need to do? If all of my cousins are getting married at 28, do I need to do that? Am I doing it because all of them are doing it? If all of them are going to Bahamas on every spring break, or Miami on every spring break, or any other country for that matter, the point is, do I need to do that because everybody else is doing it, or am I doing it because I want to do it? The moment you get this clarity, the reason this is happening in my life, I am letting this happen in my life, I'm choosing for this in my life is because I want, then you're free of it. Nothing can bother you. Nothing can take your happiness away. Second part. Now, the third one, the financial one. It's very tricky, especially with so much inflation going on right now, with so much recession post-COVID that is, our companies or industries are going through. Again, it goes back to your individual essence, who you really are, what you want to do, and to do whatever that is you want to do, how much money do you need? What kind of lifestyle that you want to live? Do you want to live a lifestyle of a digital nomad? Okay, if this is what you want to do, what kind of skill sets that you need? Sure, you do a simple gap analysis that they call, hey, this is where I want to go. This is where I am. What skill sets, what work is that I need to do to make sure that I'm financially at that stage? For example, buying a house. A lot of people buy a house when they're a certain age, between 30-35. A lot of people buy a house. If you want to do this, you want to settle down in life, you want to have a house, okay, what is it I need to do? Start working towards it. Every situation will be little nuanced, but at high level, it won't deviate from this plan. If there's a side hustle that you want to have because you need to get there, do it. The moment you take the very first step towards doing it, you will see the suffering goes away. This worriness, anxiety, stress goes away. The very first step, and then slowly, gradually you walk. Like a century, you start with one run, then two, then three, then it becomes 100 runs. But always a century starts from the first run. And the moment the first run is taken, the moment the first step is taken in the direction, the stress, the suffering disappears. No suffering. Number 4, professional suffering happens because of your manager, your team, the portfolio you're managing, the project you're taking care of, the industry you're in, the company within the industry you're in, and so on and so on. Again, I will always tell you the underlying theme here is try to understand who you are. Detach yourself first from the situation, understand who you are. Are you somebody who likes to do this work? Okay, yes. Is this work most viable, plausible, feasible in this industry? Okay, yes. In this industry, these are 17 different companies. Is this company make sense for me? Okay, yes. Okay, in this company, this position makes sense for me because this is what I wanted to do? Yes. Okay, then do it. Now, if you are there, and if any of the answers for these questions is no, then you figure out what else is there. If this is not the industry, what other industries are there where I can find this value for my work? If this is not the company in this industry, then what are the other industries which are there? Mind you might have to compromise a bit as well. Right? If the company that you work for gives you a good payment, your mortgage is then taken care of, all the other areas of life are happy, but doesn't give you the option for living a digital nomad life, for example, then you decide, make a call. There's a book I wrote called Discover Your Dharma as It Is. This is one of those things that's coming out in this conversation, that when you make a choice, what do you want to do? Do you want to give up all that you are happy is working in your life for this particular thing? If yes, then do it. If you think, no, this is okay, then you happily go ahead with this job, this particular situation, this particular position, I'm okay. Why? Because it is doing all the other things in my life, and be happy about it. Once you consciously make that decision, suffering will go away. Other suffering could happen within the professional arena is because of your team, because of your manager. Then think about it. One is, it's much easier for humans, for us to blame the others. My manager is like this, my team is like this. Quite possible that they are, but try to think from their lens as well. Sometimes manager goes through lot of problem, lot of stress, and they take it out on you sometimes. Once or twice, it's okay. But if it's crossing the line, if it's under the belt, then you call it out. Have a conversation. Is this manager right for you? Is this team right for you in the company? Are there different areas in the company that you can work for? Can you do something about it? The crux of the solution here is understanding why the problem is and what you can do about it. You start doing it. The moment you start doing about it, it will help. Trust this helps a little bit. The last one and the most important one is the personal Personal suffering happens for one main reason. That is, you're not happy with your identity. You're not happy with who you are. It will be your personal growth, how you look, how you feel. If you want to lose 15 kgs of weight, 10 kgs of weight, but you're not able to. You want to look certain way, but you're not able to. You want to have a relationship with certain type of people, but you can't. You have friends. You don't want those friends, but you have those friends. What can you do about it? All these different parameters. At the core, it is the identity. What is it that you want to become? And if you're not, then there's a gap. If there's a gap, there's suffering. In all those things, detach yourself from the situation. Understand your core essence. After watching this video, go back to your pen and paper. Write 7 things, 7 words, I would say, not even sentences, 7 words that define you. Do that. And then once you've written out those words, could be, courageous, helping nature, ambitious, and so on and so on. And then you understand where the gap is. This is who I am, but I want to become this and this. Create this persona of the person who is, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be a 10 kgs less weight. Then what is it I need to do about it? Tomorrow morning when the sun rises, even before sun rises, start working on it. One problem that some of you might face is, I want to do this, but in process of doing this, I will lose all this. Right? It could be that somebody has a family to take care of, and they want to do a job which requires a lot of travel. Then what do? You make peace with yourself. Look, this is important to me. I want to do that. Then you make a peace with yourself. Look, this is important to me. I will compromise on that. Or you'll say, look, I want to do this. No matter what, I want to do this. This is the only thing that matters to me. There's a movie called A Million Miles, where an immigrant farm worker, as a boy, he moves to America and he wanted to become an astronaut. He had this identity of astronaut from the very beginning in his life. And he had family and everything as well after he grew up, but he did not give up on his dream. And the entire movie is based on this, so go ahead and watch it. I always say to my friends that the birds who have to fly high in the sky, they have to leave the nests on the lower trees. You will have to compromise on certain things if you want personal growth. If you want a chiseled chest, you have to get up every day and hit the gym, work out. You have to compromise lying on the couch and watching Netflix all day. Not gonna work. Okay, I'll try to wrap this up again. 5 areas at high level where suffering happens: personal, professional, financial, familial/cultural, and the last one is societal expectations that society puts on you. I hope this helped. If you have any more questions, please reach out to me. I'll try to answer as best as I can. In the end, I bow down to the spark of divinity in all of you. Thank you. Hey guys, if you like the video, please like it, subscribe it, and share with your friends and family. If they find value in it, they will thank you. Also, in the description below, I've added a few really good, very valuable guides for you, all of it for free of cost. Number 1 is Digital Detox, 7 proven tips in terms of how to stay aware and in technology, but at the same time, stay away from it. Second guide is 7 signs that you're living in your universal harmony. Please check it out. The third one is a resource booklet that I've created, the list of all the books, videos, documentaries, podcasts that will help you in your life, professionally, personally, and understanding deeper layers of life. I've also published a book, Discover Your Dharma as It Is. It's on Amazon. Check it out. It's full of interactive stories, interactive exercises, and the interpretation of Dharma, which is more meaningful, more useful in the modern context. Thank you very much. And if you have any more questions, please reach out to me. Thank you.